Well, good day everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful time. With the success of the last video, I'd be very remiss if I didn't actually try to make another challenge video because, well, we're all whores for the YouTube algorithm, and maybe if I show her a little bit more leg, she'll just let me build up my channel a bit quicker. So, the premise is the same as the last one. We are going to put 4 new swordsmen against the lands between and see how they come out on top. What swordsmen are they this time? Well, you clicked the video, so you saw them in the thumbnail. However, I'm going to change a couple rules before we get into this one. 1, no one can level up using the rune system in the game. That would make any swordsman able to handle the lands between. And 2, just to make it easy, everyone can see the sights of grace. I'm not making convoluted reasons they can see them or can't see them. I'm just going to say everyone can see it from this time on. With that being said, I'm also not going to break down the lands between again. If you want to see that, go back to the first video on screen now, and you'll be able to see everything I said about the lands between and what our swordsmen are going to go up against. Now, without further ado, let's do it. So, who do we got first going into this challenge? Well, it's none other than one of the first samurai-style characters in a fighting game. One Mr. Mitsurugi himself from Soul Calibur. Honestly, out of all the Soul Calibur protagonists, I find Mitsurugi to be my main when I play this game. So what exactly can he do? Well, Mitsurugi is a master swordsman when it comes to katanas, and as such, he's able to do all your typical movie or anime character bullcrap. He's not only able to deflect bullets, but he's also able to cut them in half. Mind you, these are usually musket rifles, not really anything we have modern, but still an impressive speed feat. Now, it took way later into my first video before we got to a point where you guys would probably want to slap the shit out of me for bringing something up. However, I found on the battle wiki, which these guys wink a lot of characters, that Mitsurugi is multi-continental in his attack potency. This bullshit has got to stop already, guys. The reasoning behind it that I'm given is that because he fights Taki, he is multi-continental. But Taki is multi-continental because she fights Maxi. And Maxi is multi-continental because he did the, you know, it doesn't fucking matter. He's not multi-continental as in attack potency. If you guys can find or know where there's a feat that shows this, because I watched, I'm pretty sure, hours of videos of cutscenes looking for him to do more than just light the air on fire near his sword or cause a small explosion, which I would say is maybe building level. Small building level at that. So I'm going to give him building level unless you guys can show me something better or argue with me in the comment section. Depending on his sword, he has different abilities that he can access, but the sword I'm going to give him for the sake of this challenge is the Marasame blade. It's the high risk, high reward sword, and I feel like, you know, you gotta risk it a little bit when you're playing as Mitsurugi. This sword allows him to regenerate as long as he's hitting people, and he also loses health as long as he's not hitting people. So this should be fun. He has a very tactical mind and has helped in a couple wars in feudal Japan era. And before the advent of the most recent game announcement, he was basically a farmer again for the last 17 years. But apparently it didn't make him rusty at all. So, how far can Mitsurugi slash his way into the lands between? Well, he does start stronger and faster than any of the tarnish that you can start out as. I would say he would make it probably through Godric. Mitsurugi is always driven to find the best challenge in a swordsman he can run across, and there's not too many overly challenging swordsmen in the lands between who are swordsmen. I mean, you've got Melania, Blade of Mikola, but Mitsurugi is not even near her level. Honestly, I don't even know if he can even get to Godric because Margot, the Fell Omen, is pretty strong and a huge barrier to a lot of people. But if you can make it through Castle Stormvale, I think that's as far as he gets. All the baseline soldiers aren't going to give him a challenge, but his need to go out and find a challenge is going to force him to go after some people that he just doesn't have the ability to take down. Yes, he can regenerate using his sword that I gave him for the challenge, and even if he decides to put on some equipment like you can when you customize characters in the Soul Calibur games, it's not going to give him enough of a boost to really put him over some of the big hitters. While in his own world, he does fight Taki the ninja quite often, who can use some medium and long range abilities, but not much. I don't think he'd be ready to see somebody literally casting fuck your face magic from across the room. And while he is a tactically sound mind, that is for war tactics. I also don't see him figuring out puzzles and trying to figure out like Renala's gimmick in the beginning of her fight right off the bat. Heck, the first enemy you come across in the game I would also say is roughly his own strength and durability rating at small building from what I gave him. He's probably a bit quicker than said creature because let's face it, the tree sentinels ain't the fastest creatures in the world. However, with everything being said, I think Weeping Peninsula and Limgrave are the best he's going to do. Yeah, foot soldiers he can take out, but again, like, he's not taking out any of the major threats in the game. But you know what major threat that you can take out? You can smash that like button and hit subscribe so you can see when we do more of these. Sadly, I went through Mitsurugi faster than anyone I did in my last video. Hopefully some of the next guys in the video will hold our interest a little bit longer, and the character leading that charge would be one Mr. Eric Brooks. Alright, I hear the On Initiative saying, who the hell is Eric Brooks? Well, let's put it in a way more of you probably know. Blade, the Daywalker. Mr. Motherfucker, you out of your damn mind himself. Most popularly portrayed by Wesley Snipes and brought back in the recent Deadpool movie. What can he do? He is a damp fear. That means he basically has all of the powers of a vampire without any of their weaknesses. It's convoluted how he got to that exact point because he used to have a sensitivity to sunlight, but he doesn't have it anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. His one major weakness is the fact that he has to use his serum, which is a substitute for blood, and if he doesn't have his serum, then he has to drink blood, which will slowly cause him to lose his humanity. However, upon drinking blood, he does access more of his way more insane vampire powers. Essentially, Blade is way stronger than your average man. Well, probably way stronger than even your average bodybuilding man. Okay, he's just really strong. He's a really fucking strong dude. He's able to easily lift and throw people. So, I mean, you know, that's not an easy feat. You go throw your neighbor, okay? On top of this, he's also extremely fast. He's able to, on foot, keep up with vehicles for at least a short distance. With all these enhanced skills, he's also a master martial artist and swordsman, allowing him to cut down a lot of the foes within his own world. Oh, and he's also the first one that we're bringing to the list that brings modern firepower to a medieval setting, because he brings guns with him. He also brings silver stakes, his sword, garlic, which isn't going to do shit in the lands between, and UV lights, which again probably aren't going to do shit in the lands between. With him being essentially half vampire and having all of their strengths, that also means you cut off an arm, he's gonna grow it back, and his only weak spot really is if you remove the head from the shoulders. Didn't know we were doing a goddamn Highlander on this list, but he is a Highlander vampire, so that's fun, right? Well, with all that being said, where exactly does Blade make it in the lands between? Oddly, I didn't realize I was gonna have so many fucking katana wielders in this damn list until I got to this part, but both him and Mitsurugi use katanas, and they both, because I gave Mitsurugi his Marasame blade, have regeneration abilities. However, Blade's regeneration abilities do not hurt him when he uses them, so, you know, obviously, it's not a double-edged sword for a fucking katana. Blade has verifiable feats and has fought Dracula, the Blood God, and everything like that in his own world. So, at least I can see what he is capable of, unlike the previous contestant. This means I can easily see Blade because his 1, his regeneration, 2, he's a genius, 3, he's got guns, 4, he's able to make bullets, so as long as he can get supplies with combustion materials, I'm pretty sure he can make more rounds for his guns. This already puts him above Mitsurugi's ability, because Mitsurugi can block and deflect flintlock weaponry, but Blade uses modern guns when he uses his weapons. And even if he runs out of ammo, he's got the ability to hack down way greater beings in his own world from time to time. I see Blade taking out at least the low tier enemies in the game. He's easily going to take out all of the foot soldiers, but I'm saying low tier like Tree Sentinel, Godric, First Form Margit. Due to the fact that he deals with characters like Santana and Constantine a lot in his own franchise, I don't think he's going to be tricked by Renala's illusion magic. I'm almost certain he'd be able to figure it out. However, just like Mitsurugi, I don't see him really having the power to really go much further, or like Geralt before him. Yes, he's got regeneration, and yes, he hits a lot harder than any of your basic tarnished. But at this point in the game, we're no longer doing basic tarnished stuff. We're fighting Margit, the Fell Omen King. We are fighting Mog, the Lord of Blood himself, which might make for an interesting fight with Blade, considering probably by this point he'd be running low on serum, and Mog is just a repository for, you know what? Blade powers up when he drinks blood. He might actually be able to just eat Mog and fucking win. That'd be an interesting fight, and if he can eat Mog and win, because Blade is a vampire, he'd at least get a power boost for a bit after eating him. So you might be able to go back to the mid-level might be doable for Blade now that I think about it. So just to cause, you know, even more controversy in my own list, I'll say he at least makes it to Mountaintop of the Giants. Mountaintop of the Giants, I think he's going to start running into some issues because you got a lot of fire casting people, and you've also got a giant fire giant, you know, kind of matches the area. And I don't think he's making it past the fire giant. I think the fire giant pancakes him, burns him to a crisp, and then calls it a day. But I mean, he made it further than Mitsurugi in my opinion. So there's that. With that being said, we're going to move on to the final two on this list. And man, it was a toss-up between these two when I was starting to think about it at first. But then, a friend of the channel, Mr. Tech Guy Gaming, the Omnissiah himself, and Ruger Rabbit's personal IT guy got to talking with me. And after our conversation, I decided to very, very carefully put Guts in the third place position on this one. Guts, the Black Swordsman, the Berserker himself, and possibly one of the most unlucky motherfuckers in all of fiction. This man, when he was born, literally fell out of the womb of a hanging dead girl. He was then found by mercenaries, and from basically the moment he started walking was trained how to fight with a sword. And then the guy who adopted and decided to sell him for a night of, you know what, we're not talking about this right now, but it was not a pleasant night for him. After this happened, Guts got revenge on both the man he was sold to and his adopted father and ran away. And all of this happened before he was even an adult. So, like I said, most unlucky man alive. Now, at one point, you know, things got a little bit better for him. He got a good buddy and a guy named Griffith who forced him to join his band of mercenaries to make the world a better place by kicking his ass in a sword fight and dislocating his arm. But, you know, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt much, so he was fine. While in this band of mercenaries, he managed to, while trying to save a fellow soldier, take out literally an army of 100 men by himself, making him a really badass character, even before more bad shit happened to him. His weapons of choice are always massive blades. A lot of people joke that they're just hunks of unrefined iron. He's able to swing with enough force to crack corundum, which is a rock that apparently has a density and strength stronger than that of steel. So another very impressive feat for him. On occasion, he's been known to move faster than a trained soldier's eye can follow, so it makes him pretty fucking quick. He's been shown on multiple occasions to be slammed through buildings, walls, brick, and all sorts of other stuff, and be hit by a giant demon made out of that corundum that he was able to crack. The weird fun fact about his giant hunk of iron is that it can smack the shit out of some ghosts, so there's that too. That giant sword I mentioned he carries, yeah, he does that with one hand because he got his own arm off when he was watching that friend of his I mentioned earlier do unspeakable shit to his kind of girlfriend at the time. So yeah, again, massively unlucky. I mean, if Master Chief is the embodiment of luck when it comes to the Halo games, Guts is the embodiment of the most unlucky guy to ever exist in fiction. I cannot stress that enough. But he doesn't just carry around a really big chunk of metal either. He has bombs, he has a repeating crossbow that he can attach to the arm he cut off. He also has a giant fucking cannon that can blow demons' heads off. So, pretty awesome. And you would think that would be all he needs. He's just a badass human who's got high durability, he's quicker than most, and way tougher than a lot. But then they gave him something called the Berserker armor. And this armor basically allows him to fight until the point where he is dead. It'll hold his body together, even if he shatters every bone in his body. He shattered his arms blocking the corundum demon, mind you, and was able to keep fighting. I mean, the man has died once canonically, but he got better like everyone tends to in these anime manga books. So how far will Guts get in the lands between? You know, the lands that were highly inspired by his entire world story and all that good shit. Well, I'll tell you right now, he'll be extremely confused if he ever goes to Caelid and opens up a certain chest, because in that chest is his own sword. He would definitely look around and wonder if he's being fucked with magic or some shit. Guts has often been considered a large building destroyer. I mean, he did do that damage to the Corundum Demon, so that does make sense. And even though the lands between the Souls games, all in general, were made heavily inspired by Guts, I don't think he's got quite what it takes to get through everything in the lands between. I feel like a goddamn broken record, because I definitely think he can make it through Godric, Morgott, you know, the works in the early games. He'd definitely take out Weeping Peninsula. He'd definitely take out Limgrave. I don't think he's going to take on Radahn. He could possibly take out Mog and Margit. The thing is that he is the first one on this list that doesn't technically have regeneration of any form. Yes, his armor allows him to fight when he's been massively damaged to the point of near death. And as long as he's got a drop of blood in his body, this armor will keep him fighting. But when it comes to sheer damage output, I don't think he has the ability to actually do enough damage to Mog before he forces all of the blood out of his body with Nihil. Yes, I do allow people to use items in the world that the Tarnished can use, they just can't level up anymore. So he might be able to find the Purifying Crystal tier. But that's an obscure thing off to the side and no one tells you about it. You have to go out of your way to look for this item. It's not like Guts is going to know it exists. You don't have Puck with it. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, Blade possibly should be here and Guts might even be a further step back. I mean, yeah, he's a strong fictional character with the ability to damage a lot of things way stronger than he is. I mean, they do write him off as a human. You know, just a human in his world, but at the same time, like, he does go up against the God's Hand and defeat a lot of apostles. This being said, though, without him having the ability to level up like the Tarnished does, he's not even going to make it to the Fire Giant. So yeah, Blade should be here, and I'm going to say Guts should be one further back. He's definitely stronger than Mitsurugi. He definitely takes out stronger things than Mitsurugi on a regular basis. But I think that Blade has taken on stronger things, and with his regeneration will be a harder challenge for a lot of the creatures that roam the lands between. And plus there's that really cool fight between Blade and Mog where he could just drink Mog. Alright, well that's Guts. Tell me how wrong I was in the comment section below. I actually really enjoy having these conversations with you guys. I had one dude who messaged me like 80 times in the last video, so it'd be really cool to hear from you guys in this one too. And now we move on to the final contestant, and that would be Mr. Talion the Ranger. I'm certain how many of you guys know that much about Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure most of you look at it and go, who the hell reads a book anymore? That's fucking lame. But anyway, he's from a video game, not a book. And what can I say about him other than the fact that, well, he's a badass character. Like I mentioned earlier, he is a ranger, and rangers in the Lord of the Rings tend to be your jack of all trades soldier type guy. They can use their bows, they can use their swords. They're masters of swordplay, they're really good marksmen. And I can already hear a lot of you guys saying, well, how the hell does Talion beat Guts, who is large building levels of strength? Or how can he beat Mitsurugi, who is a master katana-wielding samurai badass? Well, he's the only guy on the list, one, who's got abilities and hacks. I feel like I may have overcompensated by making my first list have way too many overpowered characters in it, and so I put all the massively weaker ones on this list. But with Talion, he has got so many fucking hacks. So after he tragically dies, he is resurrected by the nerd who made Sauron's first set of rings for vengeance, and given a cavalcade of useful powers. He has an ethereal bow that never runs out of ammo. He's got ethereal daggers, ethereal axes. He still has his badass sword. He uses his son's broken sword as his main tool of assassination. He is a master of stealth, has the ability to shadow teleport to an enemy in order to instantly kill them, has an ability to shadow pull an enemy to himself and instantly kill them, can frost you, flame you, or poison you from a distance. And if all of that's not good enough, he's got two other abilities, which are pretty badass. One, he can literally dominate the minds of those around him. And two, he can't die. When Celebrimbor, which is the nerd who made Sauron's rings, is inside of him, he just brings him back in a wraith form and he's able to resurrect. And when Celebrimbor leaves him, and this is the form we're talking about, he has on one of the rings of power, which makes it so he can't die, and will also resurrect if killed. He's a master tactician and was able to hold back the forces of Mordor for literally at least decades, if not hundreds of years. What I'm saying is, Talion's a bit of a cheater and is probably going to shit stomp the lands between. Why, you might ask? Well, hello there, buddy. You're now my slave. Man, you're my slave. Oh, I'm going up against Godric with my every unit in the Weeping Peninsula and Limgrave. Oh, well, Margit's gone. Oh, no, never mind. I want Margit to be my buddy too. So now Margit oh, he's just an illusion. So he's going to be gone regardless. But all of Castle Stormvale is now at my back as I walk in to confront Godric. Not only will Talion now have a shiny new base of operation within Stormvale Castle, but now he has an entire army. And he can just march in on Rennala. Mind you, he might also have Godric following him at this point. Did he get killed that one time and his entire army wiped? That ain't gonna matter. He'll come back, and while wearing his lovely ring, he can just resurrect his entire dead army like it was nothing. You think you're too good to kill him? You know, he'll just teleport behind you and stab you before you realize he was there. The fact that there has been at least one person to do a level 1 run, and I'm saying that because if anyone online or in the world can do it, Talion is a master tactician. He'd be able to figure out how to kill every one of the bosses, even at his current level, which is higher than a level 1 tarnished. I wasn't joking earlier when I said the man's a damn cheater. He could literally respawn and retry until he succeeds and bring his army every time. You think the damn Spirit Ashes or a Mimic Tear is cheap as hell? Just watch him come in with everyone that you used to call your ally. The biggest problem I can see Talion having would be Malakath, because Malakath has both a very convoluted way to get to him, and I don't know if he would be able to summon his entire army to Farum Azula, and has Destined Death. Destined Death is so powerful that even Queen Marika feared it. She had it removed from the Elden Ring and told her shadow, Malakath, to guard it. Malakath is an extremely acrobatic foe who hits very hard, but he's a bit of a glass cannon because he doesn't have that much health. Talion, being a ranger of Gondor, is probably used to looking through ancient texts and would possibly go into Sir Gideon's library and look up lore on Malakath if he can get Sir Gideon to allow him to do it. Talion is the kind of character that works well with others, so he might actually be able to get into Round Table Hold and work with them for a little bit, and he wouldn't have to dominate them because they all have the goal of fixing the Elden Ring. Even if Talion couldn't bring his army from the rest of the game with him into Malakath's chambers, he still has all of the beastmen, several dragons, a draconic tree sentinel, and an army of shambling zombie skeletal creatures that he could take in against Malakath. With all that being said, I see him taking out Malakath. Like, he's just got too many numbers for Malakath to take down. Malakath is an extremely powerful foe and hard to hit, but there has been countless videos by bigger YouTubers than myself, like the channel Elden Ring Fights, that have pit even the basic ball bearings in the game up against whatever bosses. And I'm certain if 10 ball bearings can kill Malakath, then the 50 plus enemies that are running around in Farum Azula would definitely allow you to take Malakath out. Especially if he found Placidusax's hidden chamber and somehow managed to mind control him. The funniest bit in this whole thing would be him stepping in to take on Consort Radahn and just being like, Radahn, I have come to negotiate, splatted all over the fog gate. And then he comes back in, Radahn, I have come to negotiate, just like that scene in Doctor Strange. But, you know, eventually Talion would just show up enough that he would be able to figure out the fight. He would win. He would overcome through perseverance in a way that none of the other characters can, because if he can beat Malakath, there's nothing left in the game that can put him down for good. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, throw down a character, a swordsman, a magic user, whatever, whoever you want to see in the lands between, throw them in here. I'll put them in one of the upcoming videos if this one does as good as the last one or better. If not, I might be done with this franchise, but I think you guys enjoy what I've done here, and I definitely enjoy making it for you guys. Right now, I'd like to thank my members who are on screen. And remember, if you become a member, then you can get videos early and take part in members-only sections. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again in the next one. Peace.